Hi friends, welcome to my channel again. Did you ever watch clips of sister wives from other nations, such as Australia or TLC UK, and wonder, wait a second, that wasn't in the episode that aired? We've mentioned this previously, but last week I watched a 4 or 5 minute segment of Kody and Janelle's fight about Coyote Pass. I think this was in episode 2 when Janelle and Maddie were traveling to Montana to look at a property they never did purchase. They were discussing how Coyote Pass still hadn't been paid off, and there was a whole segment, probably from the Australian version, that we never got to see. That unseen portion was all about buying Christine's home. Kody remarked on not wanting to be in business with Janelle, yet she was okay with leasing and did not want to buy a home. Totally opposite their argument last season. Then, the whole argument was Kody convincing Janelle to buy Christine's home, rather than applying that money toward paying off Coyote Pass, so she could build there someday. Rather than moving forward on the property, Kody made her purchase a house she didn't want. They even fought over it on Christine's patio. At the time, Kody said he was simply coming up with creative explanations as to why Janelle should make that choice. In that same episode, he said that though he couldn't afford Coyote Pass, he could afford a down payment. Well, we know. That summer, Janelle had spoken about something like, "He just wants my credit." Right. But in this unseen clip, she really explained more about what Kody wanted and why he was so adamant about purchasing this house. And the wild thing, we never saw any of this. So I watched that clip, then went to the Max app to watch Sister Wives again, and checked that same episode. And guess what? None of it was available. Why are we receiving a different edit? It seems as though audiences in Australia and the UK are shown a fuller version of what is actually happening, while important information is being omitted for us, as if it's being withheld purposely. I don't understand why Australia receives that version, and we only get an edit where they're just bickering over Coyote Pass, with Kody not wanting to pay for it. But really, that bickering included Christine's house, and we didn't see any of that. It's another way of saying Kody craved Janelle's credit, but in this version actually makes sense, and tells us why he craved Christine's home in a manner we never really saw on TV. Apparently, Kody wanted Christine's home because he wants hot tubs. I mean, Kody, if that is the reason, just purchase a hot tub for Robyn's place. They aren't that expensive, and they certainly cost less than purchasing a whole home on a mortgage. It's truly surreal, and just proves how he tricks them into believing something's for them, when really it's all about himself. He craved a home, but was not able to purchase one. He couldn't even afford the property, and yet still longed for Christine's house, and for Janelle to purchase it, so that he might use it in any way that pleased him. He desired the house, the hot tub, and even intended to make it his office. But wait a minute. Weren't all the times that Kody was lingering around Robyn's place because he had an office there? Didn't he state that he worked out of Robyn's house back in Vegas? I always just figured that his office, air quoting folks, just sort of followed him wherever he traveled. Because let's face it, Kody doesn't technically work. What really amazes me is that he wanted Janelle to purchase this house. He wanted the hot tub. He wanted to occupy the space. But none of it was about Savannah or the kids. It was never about them. It was always about him. Honestly, it just serves to show that his whole relationship with Janelle was all about using her for her money. And the crazy thing, that whole part of the episode was entirely omitted from the version we received in the US. And there's more, you guys. Much, much more. We now know that while all of this was happening, Robyn was busy buying dolls, lots of them, and doll clothes, and a bunch of unnecessary stuff, while they were spending money like it was never going to run out. Meanwhile, they weren't prioritizing what actually needed to be paid. This was the same episode where Robyn had the audacity to shame Janelle for not budgeting properly. But meanwhile, Kody was insisting he couldn't afford to pay off Janelle. And why? Because Robyn was blowing their money like mad. I'm really going to look at what she spent in 2022 and 2023 and try to get a good idea of why they couldn't pay off their debts while she was out spending money on doll clothes over there. What annoys me the most isn't that someone has a collection. If you love Barbies, dolls, journals, unicorns, or dinosaurs like my son, that's absolutely okay. What I do object to is when you are out there shopping and stockpiling things when you still have huge financial obligations and outstanding debts. It's not even her money to spend when she owes so much. Rather, she is spending other people's money to satiate this addiction, whatever that happens to be. We discussed yesterday how Robyn appears to be stuck in this teen mentality, and that's just the issue. Instead of being responsible with their money, they were simply carelessly spending it all. In the meantime, Kody wanted Janelle to purchase a house, but surprise, surprise, he didn't want to help pay for the payments. He wasn't even willing to chip in on the down payment. He expected her to finance the house completely on her own. Down payment, mortgage, everything. While he still got to claim the house as his and use it. And why couldn't he afford it? Because he and Robyn were spending ridiculous amounts of money on dolls, trailers, cars, and Rolex watches. Speaking of which, how many watches does Kody even have? I'd love to know. And that's just the beginning. I found another clip where Robyn tells us why she doesn't want to abandon Coyote Pass. And, shocker, it has nothing to do with the other wives. We'll learn about Robyn's logic later on. But when it comes to Kody, he won't relinquish Coyote Pass because he wants to transform a runoff pond into a lake. Yes, you heard me right. A lake. Kody, that's strange. That pond is there to catch runoff. If you know anything about how those things work, they're not meant to be full all the time. The entire idea is to catch excess water from rain and snow, so it won't flood in people's backyards. That's where the water goes. It eventually evaporates. The entire purpose of these runoff ponds is to prevent homes and properties from getting wet, to keep them from flooding. They're utilitarian, not designed to be permanent lakes. Yes, some developments do have ponds that are pretty to look at. Where I am, we have ponds that are meant to be visually appealing, but ultimately, they're still runoff ponds. My own property is sloped so that water runs into a drain, which drains into a pond 5 or 6 houses away. If that pond were always full, it would overflow and flood. These ponds must drain and evaporate naturally. But Kody, no, he wants to fence it off, put in cherry and aspen trees and make it his lake. For what, Kody? You can't swim in a man-made pond like that. It's disgusting. It's got manure, chemicals, and runoff. Actual runoff. And considering where they live, it might have oil and pipeline chemicals in it, so the water would be totally toxic. But sure, Kody, excellent idea. And if you think that's absurd, wait until you hear Robyn's idea. Robyn's vision is somehow even crazier. She sees everyone owning a house on 14 acres. Let that penetrate. 14 acres. And within their development, every house must be on a minimum of 2 acres. 2 acres minimum. Plant life to support livestock adequately. You can't simply drop a group of animals on a dry, dusty plot and hope for the best. A glance at Google, Robyn, would inform you that a single horse requires 1 to 2 acres of grass and foliage to live on. In a more arid climate than theirs, it's approximately 2 acres per equine. So if they have 6 acres remaining after the house is built, that leaves them with, at most, 3 horses. That's all. Where do the rest of the animals go, Robyn? Is this going to be some dilapidated backyard ranch? This isn't some 1,700-acre ranch like the one Kody's family owns up in Wyoming, the one that's been accumulated over the years through BLM buys and settlements. They have up there 1,740 acres of all cattle and horses. It's arid, unforgiving land, but at least it makes for ranching at that size. But Robyn, she's attempting to do it on 15 acres. Have you ever looked at aerial shots of that neighborhood? It's in disrepair. Trailers, wrecked houses, run-down buildings. It's poverty. Ben Brown, who really lived there, has described the deplorable living conditions. The show never depicted what those houses actually looked like. And yet, this is what Robyn wishes to emulate. A Wyoming ranch on a small piece of land that can hardly support a handful of horses. The arithmetic doesn't work. Her dream ranch. It still wouldn't be feasible. Where I'm from, we actually have horse ranches, and the pastures are enormous. They're green, they're lush, they're well manicured. Coyote Pass. It's dusty, it's clay, it's dirt. Due to the absence of rain, it would be hard, if not impossible, to maintain a proper horse ranch there. And then there are the other animals. Pigs, cows. Because cows require even more pasture than horses do. And does Robyn know how costly horses are to maintain? Constantly. Food, shelter, vet exams, farrier work. What is the idea? Is she breeding them? Training them? Are they show animals? Work animals? Or are they simply luxury horses, similar to her luxury dolls? Since actual ranches have horses for a reason, they're working horses, used for pulling, herding, transportation. I have show horses around me that compete in actual rodeos and agility competitions. Robyn, what are your horses actually going to be doing on this poop pond property? Oh, and don't forget, the land is contaminated with the bubonic plague. So let's recap. Robyn wants a ranch on 6 acres of dry land. She has no clear plan for how the animals will survive. The land isn't even suitable for a proper pasture, and it's contaminated. But sure, Janelle is the one who doesn't prioritize her money. Support while he's out here blowing money on fantasy ranches and luxury lifestyles. You'd be furious too. Janelle's children saw the reality. They saw where the money was being spent. Kody and Robyn were living well, and everyone else was supposed to just suck it up. It's not about needing a big ranch. It's about being realistic. You can't equate 1,700 acres to 12 or 15 acres and have the same result. Robyn resides in La La Land, fantasizing about her grandma ranch, while in the real world, it's a small, arid, unproductive hunk of land. And Kody? He just abets it. They blow their cash, and then pretend like they're surprised when it doesn't pan out. Janelle finally woke up. Her children woke up. They witnessed the financial manipulation and split. Because in the end, it wasn't a family. It was a business. And Kody and Robyn were the only 2 cashing in. What would you do? Earnings. What do you think? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe if you're new here, and tap the bell icon so you never miss an upload. Thanks for watching. Bye, guys.